In the quiet, unassuming town of Hollow Creek, nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains, Olivia lived a seemingly ordinary life. She worked as a food preparation worker at the local diner, a place where time stood still, and the scent of fried food lingered in the air. Her days were filled with the rhythmic chopping of vegetables, sizzle of hot oil, and the low hum of conversations from regulars. Life here was predictable, but not necessarily in a bad way. The monotony provided a sense of comfort and safety. Until the night everything changed. Hollow Creek had its share of stories, whispered around campfires and in hushed tones at the local bar. But none were as chilling as the legend of the Chupacabra, a creature said to drain the blood of livestock, and sometimes, if the stories were true, humans. It was an old tale, mostly told to scare children into staying inside after dark. But recently, something had shifted. The air felt thicker, and the once vibrant woods around the town seemed darker, as if hiding something sinister. It all began on a Thursday night. Olivia had just finished her shift and was walking home, footsteps echoing on the empty streets. The night was unusually cold for August, and a thick fog had rolled in, obscuring her path. As she neared her small cottage at the edge of the woods, she noticed something odd. Faint, coppery smell in the air, like the scent of old pennies. She shrugged it off as a strange quirk of the night and hurried inside. The next morning, Olivia was greeted with unsettling news. Her neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, kept a small flock of chickens, found them all dead, their bodies drained of blood. The sight was grotesque, and it sent a ripple of unease through the community. People whispered about the Chupacabra, but most dismissed it as the work of a wild animal or a prank. However, Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She recalled the strange smell from the night before, and wondered if it was connected. Curiosity piqued. She decided to investigate further. She took a detour from her usual route home after work, heading towards the forest, where the attack seemed to be centered. As Olivia ventured deeper into the woods, trees loomed overhead, their branches clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers. The forest was unnaturally silent, the usual sounds of wildlife conspicuously absent. Pressed on, guided by a sense of foreboding and the faint, lingering scent of copper. After an hour of walking, she stumbled upon a clearing. In the center lay a circle of stones, each etched with strange symbols. The ground was stained dark, and as she knelt to inspect it, she realized it was dried blood. Panic gripped her, but she forced herself to stay calm. This was something more than an animal attack. Felt ritualistic, deliberate. Suddenly, she heard a rustling behind her. She spun around, heart pounding, and saw a figure emerging from the shadows. It was a man, tall and gaunt, with eyes that seemed too large for his face. He smiled, revealing sharp, yellowed teeth. "You're not supposed to be here," he said, his voice low and raspy. Olivia took a step back, every instinct telling her to run. "Who are you?" he demanded, trying to keep her voice steady. The man's smile widened. "Names are not important. What matters is that you've seen too much." He took a step closer, and Olivia noticed something in his hand. A small, blood-stained knife. Without thinking, she turned and bolted. The man didn't chase her, but his laughter echoed in her ears as she fled the clearing. He didn't stop running until she reached her cottage, slamming the door behind her and locking it tight. Her mind raced, trying to make sense of what she had seen. Was this man responsible for the attack? And if so, what was his connection to the Chupacabra legend? Over the next few days, the attacks continued, spreading fear throughout Hollow Creek. Livestock and pets were found dead, their blood drained in the same gruesome manner. The town was on edge, and whispers of the Chupacabra grew louder. Olivia kept her discovery a secret, fearing that no one would believe her story about the strange man in the woods. But she couldn't ignore it. She began researching local legends and folklore, piecing together clues about the Chupacabra. The stories varied, but a common thread emerged. Tales of a creature summoned by dark rituals, a guardian of sorts, called forth to protect something or someone. One evening, as she sifted through old books and newspaper clippings at the town library, Olivia stumbled upon an old journal. It belonged to a man named Ezekiel, who had lived in Hollow Creek over a century ago. The journal detailed his obsession with summoning the Chupacabra, not as a monster, but as a guardian spirit to protect a hidden treasure in the woods. He had performed rituals, offering blood sacrifices to bind the creature to his will. Olivia's blood ran cold. She read the final entry. Ezekiel had succeeded, but at a great cost. The creature required constant offering, and as the years passed, it became more bloodthirsty, uncontrollable. The townspeople eventually hunted Ezekiel down, believing he had gone mad. But before they could stop him, he vanished, leaving only rumors of his dark deeds behind. Determined to end the terror, Olivia decided to confront the man she had seen in the woods. She suspected he was a descendant of Ezekiel, continuing the ritual to control the Chupacabra. Armed with a small camera, she planned to capture evidence and bring it to the authorities. But deep down, she knew this would not be enough. The creature was real, and it was growing more dangerous with each passing day. Under the cover of night, Olivia returned to the clearing. The air was thick with tension, and she felt as if the shadows themselves were watching her. She waited, camera ready, hoping to catch the man in the act. Hours passed, and just as she began to doubt her plan, she heard the soft crunch of leaves behind her. It was him, the same gaunt figure, holding the blood-stained knife. He approached the circle of stones, chanting in a low, guttural voice. As he performed the ritual, Olivia snapped photos, her hands shaking. Suddenly, the air grew colder and a dark shape materialized in the center of the circle. A creature with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp teeth. The Chupacabra. Olivia gasped, the sound giving her away. The man turned, eyes narrowing as he spotted her. "You shouldn't have come back," he hissed. Before she could react, the creature lunged at her. She stumbled backward, dropping the camera. The Chupacabra snarled, inches from her face, its eyes filled with a terrifying intelligence. But then, something unexpected happened. The creature hesitated, sniffing the air around her. It recoiled as if repulsed. The man looked confused, then angry. "What did you do?" he demanded. Olivia scrambled to her feet, mind racing. She remembered the story, how the creature was bound to protect something. But what? She blurted out the first thing that came to mind. "I know about Ezekiel. I know what you're doing." The man's eyes widened, and for a moment she saw fear in them. He lunged at her, but before he could reach her, Chupacabra intervened. It knocked him to the ground, snarling. Olivia seized the opportunity and ran, not stopping until she reached the town. Olivia went straight to the police, camera and the journal in hand. She told them everything, from the ritual in the woods to the creature's appearance. The officers were skeptical. The photos and the journal were hard to ignore. A small group of them, armed and wary, agreed to accompany her back to the clearing. When they arrived, they found the man unconscious, the knife beside him. The creature was gone, leaving only a faint, coppery scent in the air. The officers arrested the man, who turned out to be Ezekiel's great-grandson. Confessed to continuing the rituals, believing he was protecting the town from something far worse. The Chupacabra had become uncontrollable, and he had lost control over it. The town breathed a sigh of relief, thinking the nightmare was over. But Olivia knew better. She could still feel the creature's presence, lurking in the shadows. The man had been arrested, but the creature was still out there, bound to the blood-soaked land of Hollow Creek. The next morning, the townspeople discovered Olivia's cottage in disarray. The door was ajar, and inside they found her lifeless body, drained of blood, and the room marked by a terrible mess. The investigation yielded no answers, no sign of the man, and no sign of the creature. The legend of the Chupacabra was dismissed as a tragic tale, a story to scare children and thrill seekers. Hollow Creek tried to move on. The shadows in the hills remained. People spoke in hushed tones about the curse that seemed to linger in the darkness, and the woods were avoided more than ever. Olivia's name became a whispered reminder of the darkness that had come to Hollow Creek. Her story was a chilling warning that some legends are not just tales, they are echoes of something far more sinister, lurking just out of sight, waiting for the right moment to strike. And so, the Chupacabra's curse continued, an ever-present shadow in the hills, bound by blood and fear. The people of Hollow Creek could only hope that the darkness would remain at bay, but deep down they knew that the shadows were always watching, and the past was never truly gone.